LVper posted a video where his bullets would repeatedly miss the target if he quick switched just after firing. This made Valve break its vow of silence, and Brian Lev, an employee of the company, released a statement on Reddit explaining the situation with the hitboxes. Long story short, they haven't changed how hitreg has worked in a while, so either it's something else or it was from an older update and we just hadn't noticed until now. What's more important about this, however, is that Valve values people who find solutions. As they stated, providing clear, reproducible steps is the best way to track down elusive bugs. In other words, if you can consistently miss a shot that should hit and share how you did it, then Valve can do something about it. I don't have the answers, but I have made a nice little CFG file that sets up a server in perfect conditions to try and find problems. Perhaps you, like LVper or myself in that recent charity game, can find a way of consistently missing every shot you fire. If you do, upload a video explaining how you managed it, and perhaps Valve will respond to you as well. Onto my testing method. Load up an empty offline deathmatch game on a map of your choice, I recommend Baggage, join terrorists, and type the following commands into the console. Or alternatively, just put the CFG file in the description of this video into csgo's CFG folder and type this instead. You can now run about in slow motion, shooting at bots who won't shoot back. When your shots connect, the hitboxes will show up for a couple of seconds. Blue is server side, red is client side. Ideally, these should be the same. Problems arise when it shows up in one colour and not the other, since it means that part of the game disagrees with another about whether you hit them or not. It's worth mentioning that my CFG contains a command to remove inaccuracy from weapons. I can understand if you find this confusing. Every gun has an amount of inaccuracy, even when you're stood still, and this inaccuracy is calculated separately on both your computer and the server's. This means that it's possible for your computer to think that a shot hit when the server disagrees, or the other way round. This should in theory cancel itself out, since the randomness can't be planned for in the first place, though I'm sure you've had many situations where you feel it's rigged. Valve itself stated that because of the inaccuracy, the show impacts console command can be misleading, which is why my CFG gets rid of any weapon inaccuracy. A knock-on benefit of this is that 360 no-scopes are a lot easier to do. Despite all this, I still found occasions where only the client or server side said that I hit. Because of this, and at the risk of sounding stupid, I recommend that you don't judge shots on the hitboxes that show up. We're not computers. We're not meant to compensate for lag or anything like that. That's the game's job. We're people with guns, shooting at other people. We make sure that our crosshairs are trained on the targets and we pull the trigger. If it misses when it should have hit, there's a problem. Until we get a console command that shows the enemies as hitboxes that we're supposed to aim at, this is the best that we can hope to do. So why include the show hitboxes console command in my CFG? Well, look at it this way. If we shoot at somebody and his hitboxes pop up in another location, then there's a problem. If this happens every time, then we've hit the jackpot and have irrefutable evidence to show Valve that there's a problem. Sadly, I couldn't find a way of consistently missing shots, apart from when jumping, where the client side is consistently ahead of the server. And Valve is already aware of problems like this, and is working towards fixing them. This limits us even more. We have to try and find a way of consistently missing shots that should have hit against enemies who are either stood still or running about. These bullets must pass straight through their models without inflicting any sort of damage. Valve mentioned already that the majority of problems in these situations comes from an internet connection and the delay associated with it, but there's really no excuse for this when you're testing it offline like this. It's up to us to break the game. So what's the solution? Ideally, Valve should make it so that what people see on screen is the same as what the server does. Perhaps Source 2 will solve all of our problems. But failing that, what else can be done? Remember that CSGO is a game that requires a lot of skill to master. There are a lot of things to factor into a shot. You have to be stood still. You have to be aiming at incredibly small hitboxes that are often moving very quickly. And to top it all off, you have weapon inaccuracy and recoil compensation to consider. All of this makes it nigh on impossible to prove, without a doubt, that there's something wrong with the game's hitreg. As dodgy as the hitboxes might be, it's obvious that a lot of people will miss shots fair and square and will want to jump on the bandwagon rather than blame their lack of ability. Valve could remove any sort of inaccuracy from the weapons to reduce this, but then it wouldn't be CSGO anymore, would it? They could make the hitboxes larger. At the moment, they're actually smaller than the models, meaning that bullets that skim their outline may miss completely. Making them larger will return it to how it was in Source. I personally quite like the idea, since I'd rather hit something that narrowly missed than miss something that narrowly hit. My AWP stats would go through the roof. The issue is that this is a bit of a messy solution that avoids tackling the underlying problem. They could make hitreg client-side, where if you hit someone on your screen, then it counts as a hit. I believe that games like Tribes and Arma do this. I'm no expert, but I suspect that it would make it easier to cheat, plus it would give people with bad connections an unfair advantage. But like I said, I am no expert. I hope that by providing you with a method of testing the hitboxes yourselves, that someone, somewhere, might find a way of replicating shots that miss when they shouldn't. I can't say how to do this. If I knew what to look for, then I'd be closer to finding the answer myself. But we do know that Valve is watching and will welcome any evidence of hitbox problems with open arms.